Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. I need your help. I need your support. Like most people in America, I didn't say all, but most, I grew up believing in God. And you know, the story that they give you about God and all of those who have been represented as having a connection with God, it's a little more unique than that which we express in our current civilizations. And so I find myself believing that the people of America, most of them, not all of them, believe deeply in their hearts. They believe in God. They believe in love. And they would be so offended if anyone tried to convince them or anyone else that they were not. In my belief, ladies and gentlemen, something happened. I got confronted with a situation where my belief about God left. What happened was, in that particular moment, God revealed God to me. And at that moment, never again was it belief in God, but a knowledge of God. And there's a great big difference, ladies and gentlemen, about belief and knowledge. The reason our world is in the condition it is in today is because the people of the world do not know the higher power. People of America, as strong as their belief is not sufficient to put them in a category where they can respond as if they know the Lord God Almighty. If they knew God, things would be a little bit different in our world today. Because a person who believes in God can watch another person be killed and not lift a finger. Fear. A person who believes in God can see a person suffering from a lack of food, clothing, shelter, complain but never lift a finger. Or even some might donate to the cause, but will never lift a finger to eradicate the problem. There are those who are dying every day because of lack of health care. Because of, whether it is because of lack of funds, that they can access the health care, or whatever the situation might be, they fall victim. Why? Because there's nobody who knows God enough to make a difference. I remember once a little uncle of mine, we grew up together in Itta Bena, Mississippi. Many years passed by and I had gone through school and moved to Chicago. He was living in Chicago. I eventually graduated from Chicago and came back to the South, or should I say Minnesota. And I went to Chicago to visit one day, and I was visiting my family, and I saw my uncle, and I was so glad to see him. We laughed and talked. And so, out walking the streets, he decided to take me by his place. When he took me by his place, ladies and gentlemen, it was a big building. And at the ground level of the building, somebody had knocked out some of the wall. And under there, you could see the level ground. They didn't have, like they do in some cities where you have basements. It was just the ground. The building was built up off the ground, but this part of it, there were a lot of homeless people. And my uncle, my loving uncle, lived on the ground under that building. Many of you know what I'm talking about. Many of you got relatives who are going through that same situation. You might not, but you know people who are, and you want to promise yourself that you'll never, ever, ever go through a situation like that. And yet others are doing it. And if you believe in God, you can watch it and go home. and sleep good that night. But if you know God, there's no way you can put over that. At that time, I was learning God. Believing, but learning. Oh, I cried. My heart cried out because there was nothing I could do about it at that time. But I'll bring you to this point, ladies and gentlemen. What I have learned is this. In many churches throughout America, there are people who have been living a long time. They started just like me, just like so many others, believing because they were in church about God, especially since they had Jesus to hold up before us, the fake one, but Jesus nevertheless. And so our beliefs grew strong and strong and strong. Our beliefs got us so committed that we could not even change. Nobody could tell us about what it means to know God. Why? Because our beliefs were so strong, there was no place for knowledge. When a person came into that situation where the knowledge was revealed to them, it was because it was the only choice. And they accepted it. And so, in our world today, in our country today, in our states, and in our churches today, you got people who have been believing from the time that they started as a kid, went through life, fell out of church, went back to church, and now they're old. And they're sitting there in that church trying to make sure that you believe that they know God. They got to know God. They're old folks. They walked the paths of life. They struggled. They fell in the ditches. They've gotten back up. You say they don't believe in God. They can tell you some things or two. But I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you might not like what I'm saying, but I tell you this. The belief can be as strong as they want to be. They do not know God. And I'll take this and say to you, I don't know for sure, but I believe that every individual in America that knows God is dead or on a path to die. And I'm not talking about from old age. You see, on this planet in America, there is no place for the knowledge of God. Everyone who says, I know God and means it, stands up, and when they stands up, the devil and all of you believers in God kills them. Who do you think killed Dr. King? America. Who do you think killed Medgar Evers? America. Who do you think killed those 3 young boys down in Philadelphia, Mississippi? America. Who do you think killed Malcolm X? America. Who do you think killed John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy? America. A fake country. Sure, many of you are not heartless as Donald Trump. If you've ever seen the story of 12 Angry Men, you can spot Donald Trump in there. Nobody got to even tell you who he is. You can spot him. I've seen 2 versions of it. One was played by a white man, another was played by a black man, the same role, and you'll know Donald Trump every time. Heartless, cold. I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, I ask for your help. I can't do it alone. Only thing I can do alone is stand up and be killed like the rest, which I have no problem with. I would rather it happen a different way. You see, ladies and gentlemen, where my heart is where my message comes from. And that message is a message from God, not from some belief. And that is that God made this earth. God made this earth to be plentiful enough to provide whatever we might need to survive. And not only that, gave each of us a role to play in the part of that preservation. And in so doing it, we give our greatest joy, and the benefit of it outside of our great joy is that all of the desires, food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, is all manifest in abundance that no one is ever without it. That's God's way. But people who believe in God believe that white men are superior to black men. People who believe in God might believe that it's something special to be the first people. People who believe in God says it's okay for you not to have health care. People who believe in God says it's okay if you're broke, you're lazy, and you come from a shithole nation. People who believe in God can say that and sleep good at night. And if anybody stand up real, they're ready to cock that trigger and blow the hell out of them. That's belief in God. But I know that belief in God leads to World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and America today. All because we believe. Nobody knows a thing. Why do I live today? Because I have not stood up like I should. I have not stood up and challenged you because I can't do this alone. And God, my friends, gave you choice. And when you make a choice contrary to God's way, when you go along with the choice contrary to God's way, you shall reap what you sow. The seed that you plant is the fruit you get. I think about 40 years I've been out here trying to say, wake up. Most folks think waking up means get money. Right now, you used to buy a lottery ticket, you get a few $1 million. Now they raise the price up and people going for billions. Everybody wants it. Everybody want to put their $2 in the pot or $100 in the pot, saying if this is the day that the Lord has given for them to wake up. Oh my God. I'm sitting up here talking to you today and I just realized and remembered that my struggle in waiting on you to wake up has allowed me to suffer all kinds of the lack of health care and dental care. I just realized that I had a partial right out of the front of my mouth that has come loose. And now I'm speaking before you with a black hole in my mouth. Why? Because the system in which I live, you say, go get a job, make you some money. How do you do that, ladies and gentlemen? That's not God's plan. That's the anti-God's plan. Capitalism is anti-God's plan. To do God's way, you got to treat people like you want to be treated. To do it anti-God, all you got to do is to be willing to play the role against God. And in America, they'll pay you money. Lying, cheating, stealing, and killing. All of that might be a result of man's way. But that's the role that we play in America, and America is not alone. And I stand before you today knowing that tomorrow is Saturday, next day is Sunday, and I know people are going to be in that church testifying how wonderful God has been to them, but how many of them are going to say to you what God has been able to use me for? What have you done for God? And doing something for God means doing something for people. You love God. You see a homeless person on the street with a sign saying, help me. You would rather say he's trying to trick you than to help him. I tell you, if a man is hurting so bad, or if he's tricked himself in his mind and if he's hurting so bad, he can stand on the corner with a sign saying, I'm broke, help me, then you help him anyway. But believing won't allow you to do that. You'll find all kind of excuses to keep that dollar in your pocket. Maybe go buy you some weed, go buy you some alcohol, go pick up your lady for the night. Your wife ain't treating you right. You know how that story goes. And so I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, you know your big high-minded preachers. Since I'm a black man, let me talk about a black one first. Claffo Dollar, T.D. Jakes, Jake, whatever his name is, Jakes, Osteen, all these bad boys. You see how bad they are, ladies and gentlemen? And then you got the evangelicals, they're white now. Hey, ain't no doubt about that. And you got your fundamentalists. And they are telling America that what we consider, and you have had preached to you about as an anti-God, a liar, a cheater, a stealer, a deceiver, a whoremonger. You preached about that to your congregations about it being evil. And yet, you went to the polls and voted for one and said that God sent him here to straighten this situation out. Anything that you say you know about God, it was an indication that it's all about belief. You don't know nothing. Nothing. Put Trump up there on that speaking for you. And what is he talking about? Hurting people. Keeping people out. Wrapping a wrap around America. When you laughed when Reagan said Gorbachev tear down this wall, it was supposed to be a great success. And right now Putin is telling America, build up that wall. And Trump is saying, I ain't going to bring this government back up to life until you give me the money. So I can wrap America up in a wall. And when the bomb is dropped, everything within this wall can get wiped out and nothing outside of it. You silly people. Well, these are the kinds of things that happen to people who believe in God. It doesn't happen to people that know God. People who know God are released from this hell because the devil is going to kill you. And God will allow the devil to kill you. Why? Because he don't want you here in this hell. Got a place for people that know God. Special place. I don't know where it is. I don't even know if it's physical. I don't know anything about it. But I do know this. There's a difference between belief and knowledge. Do you believe you got a mother? Or do you know you got a mother? Were you adopted? Do you really know? I tell you this. The knowledge is a difference between belief. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've said enough to tell you that when I say I want your support, I do not want to see anybody suffering from a lack of food, clothing, and shelter, and education, and health care, or a job in this country. I do not want to see anybody, man, woman, a child, black, white, anything, without food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, and a job. Why? Because with that comes joy. With that comes peace and prosperity. With that comes the dreams being fulfilled. That represents the God I know. That represents the God I stand for. Belief can never get you there. Never get you there. Belief will never allow you to cross the bridge because you don't know if it's round or flat. But knowledge says it don't matter because you know the end of the game. And so whether it's round or flat, you got nothing to worry about because one step is just another to be made. Man. Now, I've done all of this for the past, 12, 13 minutes. Have I had any effect on anybody who have heard this? I tell you what, go back and click on this particular video, and it might have a number of about 7 or 8 people who stopped on to see what it was about. And they didn't tell anybody. Because they didn't want to hear it because it didn't represent them. Not only that, it wasn't foolish. And so it will never go viral. Because only viral stuff, only foolish stuff get a ride like that. You say it was fun. Whatever, anything rather than be real. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I'll go any further than that. I pray and hope that I've done something for you. And if I have failed, I do hope and pray that I have been made stronger by speaking the words, by speaking the Spirit from within, to myself at least. And I tell you what, a seed gets a fruit. A seed gets a fruit. Bye-bye.